and great to be with you in a different time zone as well. It was great to hear someone say good morning a few moments ago, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's been a long day here already. So yeah, lovely to meet a lot of you. I see we've got loads of people on here, and as Felicia said, just looking at Twitter and LinkedIn, it's crazy this afternoon, or wherever you are. So really good to have everybody with us today. I'm going to try and do the screen share now, so just bear with me as I get that up. Screen share. Don't we all love technology? It was great to hear you all talking so warmly about Zoom, because we've all spent the last 5 months or something Zooming everybody. But here we go. We'll try it again. I'm on my laptop, so just bear with me. Felicia and Felicia, you're the guardians of what you can see in front of you. Have we got it right today? Is that all good? Okay, superb, superb. I've also decided just to take out the videos for the sake of people's hearing. So we're just going to do the nice short version today of young people and gaming, the risks and rewards. And this is a follow-up piece to our last conference when I did the fashionable young people and gambling. So it's the natural follow-on piece to that. My background, just very briefly, everybody, is that for 15 years I was a mainstream school teacher, teaching English and drama. I then joined an awarding body and finally set up my own organisation looking at what we call in the UK personal, social, health and education issues. And that's what this is all about today. It's very much a piece for the COVID generation, because we're going to think about what young people have been doing during lockdown with regards to video gaming. And just a word of warning that this is a nice balanced session. This is not to tell you all that we should all stop gaming immediately, put down your Xbox, give up Duolingo, don't ever play FIFA again. We're going to try and have a little bit of a rounded discussion around that for the next 20 minutes or so. So here goes. Just a little bit about Seventh Wave Education. I set up the group fairly recently to bring all of my projects together. This is one of the most important ones. Here in the UK, we have a range of partners on the project. We have the National Association of Special Educational Needs. So we're very much looking at young people who might be more affected by gaming. We also work with the PSHE, which is the Boarding School Association. And again, if you know young people who've got extra time on their hands at boarding school, gaming can be quite an interesting thing. And finally, we're going into a partnership with Minecraft. And a lot of you will be aware of Minecraft. You might be better people than me and have played Minecraft. And we're going to be looking at some of the positives that we can find in that gaming space as well. So it's a nice bit of partnership work, which is how Seventh Wave likes to operate. Okay, briefly, what we're going to do for you this afternoon is I can't see you, so I don't know what your age is. Some of you might be brilliant, bright young things, and you might know all about gaming, and you know all the stuff that's out there, or you might be like me and you just missed it entirely because when I was at school, they only had one computer and we weren't allowed to touch it. So we'll try and get it clear, what is this gaming stuff? I've got data and information for you, particularly what's been going on in the middle of COVID. What do we need to know? What's out there? What are the games we should know about and understand? Young people and health. I mentioned that this is definitely a health issue, and we'll be looking at what is safe behaviour and what is unsafe behaviour in this space as well. And then finally, as promised, some gaming for good, how gaming can actually have a beneficial effect on what we do, and I'll try to give you some examples of the sorts of things that we should be doing. So hopefully that whets your appetite. Hopefully this will be something again that you can take away as a resource after today. I think Felicia and Felicia, we're videoing this session, I hope we are. So we'll have this session for you to watch, and I've also got some lovely resources for you at the end that you can take away. And if you're a teacher, if you're working with young people, we've got some activities that we think will be useful for you. So I hope that's all good as well. Okay, now normally this is part of my workshop where I send you into training rooms and I say, okay, everybody go away and have a chat in these breakout rooms that have just been described, or if I'm doing it for real, go and have a good conversation. But today, these are rhetorical questions, okay? Unless you feel that you want to, you can add through chat to some of our knowledge, I'm going to try and take you through the answers to these questions, just so we move on through our 20-minute slot. So why do students want to game? Interesting. Lots of positives and negatives in this. But gaming is actually a hugely popular sport or pastime. It's a hobby. You will find that lots of people are playing very safely in this space because they happen to like football, because they happen to like shooting people, because they happen to like being quite good at stuff and winning. And certainly progression is one of the key words about gaming. If you've ever played a game, it's all about progress. And games allow you either to progress quickly or not so quickly, to be successful or not so successful. So that's part of the attraction. It's also part of the modern age. Again, digital behaviours. Gaming is certainly not playing snakes and ladders anymore, or Monopoly, even if you have been doing during lockdown. It's about access to screens. It's about access to iPads. It's about access to technology. And also that technology, as you might well know, can also lead us to some quite interesting prizes in terms of gaming. You will have seen that you can win millions and millions of dollars by playing Fortnite, for example, or other associated games in this space. So clearly there is there's the ability that you might win money. Good old peer pressure is in there, isn't it? Everybody else is playing this game in my class. If I don't play it, mum, if I don't play it, dad, everyone will laugh at me. So I want to play in there. Other things, do you remember that thing called boredom? Do you remember when you were young and you were bored and your parents just said, well, go and find something to do. And you went outside and built a tree house or a go-kart. But now you need never be bored again because you have your mobile phone or your iPad and you can game on the train and the plane and the bus in the back of the class. So it's always there, it's always available. There are lots and lots of attractive reasons for young people to want to participate. How social is it? It's as social as you want to make it, because aren't we just interesting people? We're doing a global conference and gaming can be global. I can game with Felicia in the USA, or I could game with Felicia in Brussels, or I could game with any of you wherever you might be in the world right now, and we could be very social indeed, if that's what we think social is. But I might also be in my bedroom playing something by myself and being absolutely the opposite, and gaming can be incredibly antisocial. We can actually lose touch with reality. So it's quite important to know that. Most at risk, it's really quite difficult to say at the moment because the data is quite early on. But certainly, as I was saying, students with special educational needs, those who might be more vulnerable because of their background, may well be more at risk in this space. But it's not exclusive at all. And I've worked with parents who think they're just, you know, very kind of ordinary people in this space, and suddenly they find their son or daughter has problematic gaming, or they've spent a lot of money on gaming. So it's up to all of us to be the adults in the room to make sure that young people are looked after. Finally, this is very much a rhetorical question. I cannot see your faces, I cannot see your smiles today, but what is our own opinion about gaming? All I can say is that when I get back on my train in London, I'm bound to see some very adult-looking people in their business suits heading to the city, playing Candy Crush, because it's a good thing to do. And that is all I will say on the matter at this point. Okay, and if you do play Candy Crush, carry on with my permission. Okay, I said I'd say a little bit about what gaming is. If you Google it, good old Wikipedia does come back and say that gaming is board games, which it's clearly not. Most of these games are fantasy games, they're war games, they're crime, they're sport. And I have to say that if you look at this in terms of gender specific, you will certainly find it is a much more male-dominated world, but not exclusively so. But most of it is online, most of it you need to be connected to the outside world, which is what if when you go on holiday this summer, your children say, where's the internet? And you say there is no internet, you are going to be in so much trouble because they need access to this to play a lot of these games. Other stuff, it's virtual reality, it's VR, it's artificial intelligence, it's AI. If you, like me, you've had the misfortune to put on a headset and play Kill Zombie 2, you'll know it can be frighteningly realistic in this space. And you know, that kind of 3D vision that you get and the idea of holding guns and shooting can be really realistic. A lot of it involves consoles or computers. Your house may be full of these things, scattered to four winds. People get nostalgic about consoles from the 1980s now. It's really quite frightening. You could be playing against real or virtual opponents. Again, you just don't know who's out there. But let me focus your mind on the last 3 bullet points, because if you know nothing about gaming, this is what you really need to know. A lot of games now are free, and that's not because of the generosity of the gaming companies. It's because they want you to come and play for free, and then once you started playing, in order to progress, there's that word again, you need to make purchases. It might be you need to purchase a magic gem for 49 pence. A bargain, I think we'll all agree. What's 49 pence? The sliding scale says that actually the top of some games, it's £99.99 for a big bag of virtual gems. And once your son, daughter, student, or whoever has spent that kind of money, you should begin to worry about spending money on nothing, really. You've also got loot boxes, which are considered to be gambling, because young people are gambling on what's in a loot box. It could be what they call skins, which could be a better outfit, a nicer looking weapon, something to enhance your playing experience. It could be the loot box actually has nothing in it that you want. If you're playing FIFA, you're doing the same. You're gambling on the fact you might get Ronaldo, you might get your favorite player, but most likely you won't. And therefore you're gambling, and you're going to go back and buy more of the same. And at the moment here in the UK, our gambling commission, they can't make up their minds because it's virtual gambling. Otherwise, I can tell you again that the gaming companies use persuasive design. They use the right colors that attract. They use the right music that will resonate, the right characters that will, entrap people into playing, and addictive hooks. Those dopamine rushes are repeated and repeated and repeated. And so none of this is done by accident. None of the games that we will see in a moment were ever done just for the public good. They are designed absolutely to make money and to get us addicted. Oh, and whilst I'm on the subject, of course, a lot of them come with an age restriction. If you've ever seen Grand Theft Auto, 18. But if you know young people, they persuade their parents that it's not really so bad. And actually, if they're 12 or 13, couldn't they just have it as a present? And that's when the whole system collapses, because no one actually enforces these things. And if it's you, start parenting again and say 18 means 18. Okay, why should we be worried? Well, we should be very worried because at the moment, according to my data, this is the latest I have, 2.2 billion active gamers in the world. And again, you'll know it's not just young people, although that's what we're talking about today, but there are adults, there are married people, there are husbands sitting in the attic playing FIFA. It's crazy. And of course, lockdown has driven that behavior further. The data that's coming out already says that gambling hasn't increased, that gaming has increased, esports has increased. And again, if you didn't know already, look at those numbers on the bullet point 2, 50,000 gaming addicts across 92 countries. And my friends at Game Quitters, they're a really good organization. They have loads of data if you want to find more on this. And again, we'll share that information with you. Okay, I'm moving rapidly through, but here in the UK, God, we are responding well to this. Our MPs say that we will review the recommendations with the utmost seriousness, which means that we'll have a committee that reports to a committee that says nothing to another committee that recommends we should do something to deal with this lack of honesty and transparency. But at the moment, the gaming companies can make hay whilst the sun shines. Otherwise, here's my data slide, and my data slide is pre-lockdown, okay? I'm gonna have to add into this because my spies tell me that this is now, you could double this, all this information. The average kid in lockdown spends 4 hours a day online. The average kid. Some kids don't play, which means that other kids must be, wow, 8 hours, 10 hours, all day. And again, in lockdown, parents are trying to work. And so you say, okay, Adrian, have the iPad, my son. Go off and amuse yourself for a few hours. And that's what's been happening. Okay, What else should we know? The World Health Organization have classified gaming disorder as an official medical condition, which means that you should be able to go to your doctor, your general practitioner, and you should be able to get treatment for it. And certainly here in the UK, that's what happens. We also know that gaming is now taking a precedence over other daily activities. And again, I wrote this pre-lockdown. So, you know, imagine you can begin to think that schoolwork is going out the window. Here we are, a global education conference, and yet we know that during the pandemic, a lot of kids have not had education reaching them, and they have actually just been increasing their FIFA credentials and their Clash of Clans skills. So we really need to think about how we act post-coronavirus. Otherwise, darker sides of gaming, there are some places where you go to access maybe these loot boxes, you go to access in-app purchases, but you get moved on to a cheaper site where you can get more gems for your money. But actually, it's the dark side of the web, and you've got people actually recruiting actively through gaming. They can see vulnerable people, they can see players who don't fit in, and they lure them to different websites, offer them special deals, collate their information, and before they know it, they're in a very bad place. So when people say, oh, gaming's so nice, I play with my grandson online, it's a lovely thing, it brings us together, we need to be aware there is that dark side to it as well. Here's my big question, who owns gaming? Well, you can have a look at the numbers on there, and you'll wish that you'd taken out shares in gaming and esports now, won't you, everybody? You know, if you'd bought shares in Fortnite a few years ago now, you could have retired. With more than 125 million players, 3 billion profits. Other favorites, look at FIFA. Again, it's just going to keep growing. And interestingly, I said I talk a lot about gambling and gaming. Gambling is sitting still, and gaming is going right up there at the moment. Even my friends at Minecraft, and we're working with Minecraft, you can see the profits are excessively large, and they recruit all the cleverest people, because who owns gaming? Yeah, clever people, people who want to make money, people who want to employ the smartest IT people, the smartest designers, those who can work with algorithms and everything, and all the best designers. You know, if you want a great career, gaming again is the place to go. And again, we'll leave you these figures. They're slightly behind the curve now because, you know, this is a growth industry. Gaming has boomed during coronavirus. And if you want to see more, just go to your app store today. You know, you can find Clash of Clans. You can find my personal favorite, Kim Kardashian Hollywood. You can hang out with Kim. You can spend on clothes with Kim, go to parties with her. There is something for everybody, guys. So you can find your game and you can get rid of all that spare cash. Okay, how long is too long? There is no right answer about this. But I have a strong feeling that gaming time should be earned, or gaming time should at the very least be regulated by parents. There is, you know, nothing that says 4 hours might be wrong on one particular day of the year, but you certainly don't want that as an average, and you certainly want to see that young people are balancing, you know, academic work against gaming, because we aren't all going to win $1.2 billion. It's a rare thing indeed, and if you think that a career spent practicing for gaming by spending hours on this is going to work, it's not. So we need to be good parents, we need to be good teachers, and we need to come back with that usual message of everything in moderation, and these things have to be earned. Balance it against outdoor activities. You know, it's a lovely day here outside. Why wouldn't I go and spend time outside rather than locked in my bedroom? Okay, so here are the slides that, again, I wanted to share with you. Some of the things that we'll see about gambling addiction. It's the time and the money. I've made that point to you already, but it's also about health issues. It's about cleanliness. Young people will stay up all night playing. And this is the frightening bit if you want to switch off. They don't change their clothes. They don't shower. They don't even go to the loo properly. The gaming companies, they actually produce commode type chairs so that young people do not have to move from their room, which I find staggeringly awful in terms of where we are as a society. Otherwise, it can have physical issues. We were not meant to do this for hours and hours on end. We were not meant to stay up all night shooting zombies. And again, young people are experiencing a lot of mental health issues in this space. And I've been contacted quite a lot during lockdown by parents who are really concerned about what to do. And again, parents are concerned because kids won't talk to them. The relationships have broken down. The kids are in their bedroom. They're in different time zones. So again, we need to look very carefully at this. This slide again just highlights some of those issues. For us as educators, if a kid is up all night playing games, they won't be in school, or they'll be tired in school. They'll be falling asleep in school. You know, so there are lots of things. When a new game comes out, the new series of Fortnite has been announced, you know, kids will await its arrival and then they will be up all night playing it. And parents and teachers are clueless. They don't know about this stuff, and they need to actually get involved in the conversation and even say, what is it you're playing? How does it work? Yeah, so we need to understand. But unlike the pandemic, what I'm not saying here is that we are all going to hell in a handcart, that we need to ban gaming, but we just need to be mindful of young people who may be struggling with it, who may be feeling that they can't opt out of it in some way. What we should be saying, though, is that let's look at the flip side. And if you want to, you can find all sorts of stuff in Gaming for Good. And I say we're going to work with Minecraft to teach coding and creativity and mathematics and lots of other things. And we're actually just setting some workshops up for the autumn. And again, if you are interested, come back to us on this link, because we'll be doing some interesting stuff. But look, you know, in the UK, we have, I love this, the Serious Games Institute. Wouldn't you just love to work there? Oh, I go and play games every day of the week, but it's real work, honestly. We use it for simulation of activities. We can take ourselves to other places around the world. We can take ourselves out of safeguarding issues. We can work with SEN students to make them walk to school safely without them being run over by a bus. We can even just say that actually for some young people, a passion for gaming is good. And Ferrari have just signed a Formula One driver. He's never been in a car before, but he's broken the back of their Formula One game online. And it's so similar now that he can actually get in the car and drive it. Less appetizing, for most of us, I suspect, is that if you want to fly a drone for the Army or the Air Force, they love gamers because they're so accurate and they've got this brilliant skill set and all of these brilliant reaction times. So if you are thinking about, you know, working with the military, gaming is for you. Finally, as a lot of people may have discovered during lockdown, gaming can be fun. Even though if you're like me, you're just no good at it. I am just rubbish. But I appreciate the fun of a car skidding off and rolling over, or of my horse not quite making it round the arena. So there's lots of stuff in there that we can say is gaming for good. I've even come across stuff that now will deal with your cognitive process that Felicia Gibson knows about. I found something again whereby for reluctant eye appointments, people can actually use a game now to test their eyesight, which again during lockdown was just a brilliant answer for what you could do. So gaming for good is there. We shouldn't forget this. I say we shouldn't be the Puritans and say thou shalt not and never do this again, put all our consoles in the bin and go back to reading the Bible before bed. It's not that at all. But what I say to learners is in moderation. That's great. Number 2, as parents, be a parent. Don't abdicate and say, I don't understand, but understand, find out, educate yourself. If you're in trouble, talk to someone, compare behaviours, get medical help. And finally, I think the really important thing is that a lot of young people find themselves, from that peer pressure I talked about at the beginning, they're being steamrolled into having to be like everybody else. And believe me, it is okay to switch off. It is okay to leave your phone behind. It is okay to do something else instead. And that's a really good message for us as educators. Finally, we'll share this. It's probably quite small on your screen today, but this is a nice curriculum, whether you're working with younger pupils or older pupils. It's all activity-based learning. Some of it's short, some of it's long, some of it's medium, some is creative, some involves writing, some involves role play, but don't worry, we won't do any role play today. So that's my message, really. So it's just to be mindful of what's going on, to be aware of what's happened during COVID, to react accordingly. And I think that if teachers, parents, and young people can do what I call triangulation and all talk to each other, that this is a really good way forward in the realm of gaming. At which point I shall stop talking and see if we do have briefly any questions. And that's quite close, 16:27, isn't it, Felicia and Felicia?